Honey Sound Broadcasting, an affiliate of the Bilko Media Network.
Is Tristan on time?
I am.
So.
Oh my gosh!
Oh my lord.
Yay!
I was expecting the worst, I must say.
It's okay. I actually just finished, and boy oh boy, do I have some comments.
I have
I also took notes,
3.5
Beth.
pages
You
of
took
notes.
3.5 pages.
Yeah, I just wrote down all my comments as I was thinking them.
That's exactly what I did. So does anybody maybe have like a sentence description of this movie? Start off. Mm-hmm.
Convenient.
Convenient. I have Dick Cheney's wet dream.
Oh, convenient and
Virgo! Fuck yeah, that's what I had.
The whole
What it
time I was
was.
watching this, I kept thinking to myself, now what if this was Donald Trump?
It's really hard to hold that moral high ground.
That is a fantastic twist on the movie.
I would really
could
have
happen.
loved this movie so much more if Donald Trump had been in it as the
As
yes.
the president.
Yes. Oh my. So
How do we
Beth.
do this thing?
All right. Okay. So Beth, why don't you give us a rundown of this 3.5 pages of notes, because that is dedication.
Well, okay, I'll do a summary first.
Well, let me start off by asking, has anybody seen the first one?
No.
There's a
That's the
first one?
Yes. This is actually a sequel.
Oh. Okay, no.
To
What's the
Olympus Has Fallen, which is same people, same president. It's where terrorists take over the White House. It came out about 2 years before this one, which actually this one came out this year. So how it's already on Netflix, I have no idea.
Okay, so what the hell is this president doing that he is getting this attacked by, like, personally attacked by terror?
Yeah, it's like they're really after the American president, which doesn't really make too much sense in London.
Wasn't it the Americans who bombed his family?
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's like dedication, man.
This is like a personal vendetta.
Mm-hmm.
He will have revenge.
Mm-hmm. But, like, I guarantee that if this dude got bombed, like, whether or not it was, like, someone flying a UK flag on the plane that bombed him, the bomb was made in America, So, like, I guess my point is that setting this all in the UK just seems a little unnecessary and weird, and I don't know why it was done.
Well, yeah.
Well, apparently that's where, like, all their hideouts were. Because I thought that too. I was like, why get him all the way over to the UK? But I guess he had all these hideouts there, so it was just more convenient than just going to the United States.
I'm just saying the fact that this was all took place in the United Kingdom was kind of irrelevant to the movie,
Right. Like, because what's the whole premise? Oh, let's get as many world leaders together as we can and kill them all.
Right.
And the way they did that was through, like, the Prime Minister of London died, but it ended up being, like, a murder.
Yeah, I mean, they could have killed anybody, I guess.
Yeah, but, like, I mean,
United
my
States
gut reaction was, why wasn't this set, like, the United Nations or something like that for, like, a big shindig of getting people together?
I guess it doesn't really matter. They wanted to kill him, so...
Well, they wanted to kill everybody, wasn't it? It was more of a stance against the West than America specifically. Because everybody else... Didn't they say, like, all the other world leaders...
West.
All the other world
There was
leaders
the Japanese guy died.
Yeah, he died. Which... I guess is part of Western...
We can include them into the West since World War II, can't we? I mean,
if the Japanese have their own ship in the black hole, I think it's perfectly legal too.
But I want to know, though, I don't know, these terrorists must have... Their information regarding where all these
people were was fantastic, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. They knew that the French president would be in a boat,
Yeah.
and that he would delay his
by 10
car
minutes.
by 10 minutes,
Yeah.
so that the liner barge thing could come by and blow up.
Yeah,
but
I don't.
our
I don't.
CIA can't figure out that the terrorist's family are around, and they didn't kill him anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't buy the whole planning aspect of this at all.
No,
And how many people were involved with this? It was just wave after wave after wave of ISIS.
So
or
I
whoever
actually,
the people were.
I took down a
There's a
note
lot of
about
people.
that. All right, and this was it because like there was this about 30-minute chase scene that took place after the initial attack took place, and I wrote down this. So seriously, what's the plan? Okay, so we're gonna try to get some guy disguised as a police guy to kill the president with a machine gun. But then if he tries to get away in a car, we've got the guy on standby who has the engine melting grenade.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
then if there's another car that gets the president,
We got the bikes.
then we've got on standby these police cruisers with semi-automatic, and if those don't get him, and he gets to his chopper, which you didn't know he was going to have, we have 40 guys with RPGs in concentric circles around St. Paul's to anticipate every possible flight path, and then when he survives that, we have Hell's Angels on motorcycles coming after him.
I said that too to Alex. I was like, if they end up surviving this helicopter crash, you know there are going to be people there ready to chase them down.
Yeah.
Like, their contingency planning is amazing.
I mean, yeah, like I was rooting for the terrorists at a certain point because I was like, you know what, you guys deserve it. You planned this so well and you pulled it off with so many people, like that it's like how much hush money had to be paid.
Yeah,
And
seriously,
that was the
a
thing.
lot of
No kidding. How much did this operation cost?
And that's the thing that really didn't make any sense. All right, so maybe I can buy, maybe I can buy that like they snuck a dude into like the UK London Metropolitan Police Force. All right, all right, maybe I can buy that. But do you think the guys who are like handpicked to being the Buckingham Palace guards are not going to notice that like, oh, hey, who's this dude? We've never seen him before. He just showed up today.
Yeah.
You know?
And
there
they
were,
could
like,
get
3
people to
of
keep
them.
a secret for 2 years.
Yes.
Like, not...
Yeah, well, you know they didn't plan this like the night before. This has been in motion for a while. And
Yeah, but then at the same time, yeah, they knew, like, obviously so they assassinated the prime minister, but they didn't know, is the funeral going to be 2 days later, a week later, you know? So they still had to do all that last minute stuff, like, on the fly. Be like, okay, stand by, everybody has to be, you know,
and
on vacation
trust
this
your
week.
goons are, you know, able to pull this off, which they were able to pull it off fantastically, as we discussed, without a hitch.
Yeah. And that's the thing that I kind of wrote down in the middle of the movie. I was like, okay, so, like, at this point, it's obvious that someone in the UK government is, like, behind this, you know, because, but it, like, this is, like, a state level, like, it would have to be, like, the UK Prime Minister plotting to kill all these people, you know, it's just so involved and high up, and you have to have so many things, like, go right or not be looked at, so, like, that's the problem with it.
That'd be quite the plot twist. The prime minister faked his death or had somebody assassinate him.
Ooh, there we go.
So that
There we go.
he could have this funeral for all the world leaders to come.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's pretty much my main summary. Was like a good 3 out of the 3.5 pages are this plot is way too convenient. Like the Delta Force, like that was kind of clever that the guy discovered. Oh, they couldn't have gotten here in 32 minutes. You know, they're not sweating. So I'm like, well, what happened to the real Delta Force? Did they just happen to have Delta Force like uniforms?
Yeah, that's
Wait,
contingency.
on the
That's
fly?
contingency plan. Part 42.
497A.
Or even if they didn't, how did they intercept Morgan Freeman's message, discover where the secret MI6 hideout is,
Yeah.
find the real Delta team, kill them, steal all of their uniforms, and then get to the MI6 hiding place in 32 minutes?
And Beth, are you serious? Is that what he says? I wasn't really paying attention. He says that they're sweating. They couldn't have got here in 32 minutes.
Well, no, he said. He first asked, how long ago was the message, and they said it was 32 minutes ago, and he said that armor or that gear weighs 40 pounds. They should be sweating, I guess.
Right.
And they couldn't have gotten here that fast. So those
like you would have figured. You would have figured that, like, they were coming from America, so it would take them at least, 6 or 7 hours.
The Delta Force was British.
Oh, the Delta...
Wasn't it?
No, the Delta Force isn't British. The Delta Force is American.
Well, but it's not like we don't have American troops in Britain.
Isn't that who they teamed up with afterwards?
They teamed
the
up
SAS,
with the British military.
Oh, okay. I thought that was the Delta Force they were waiting for, but I guess...
Yeah, no.
No, because remember they said they were going to do the air raid, and then they'll send the military in, and anybody that's left active. Oh, and kudos to the civilians of this movie.
I know!
Man, those streets were clear after like 20 minutes.
Like, everybody knew that hell was all breaking loose, and everybody obeyed the air raid signal.
I guess they had good practice in World War II.
Guess so.
I guess. But it was like there were no lights on in the city. Like, no one even had their lights on.
Well, they cut the power. The terrorists did. I remember that scene.
Okay.
That was part 48 of the plan.
But I gotta say, I don't know if I was surprised or not at all surprised that Morgan Freeman was the vice president.
In the first one, he was Speaker of the House in the first one. And I think the vice president died in the first one, and so this takes place, I don't know how many years later. But it's the same president, so I assume it's obviously within 4 or 5 years. But I guess after the vice president died, they just appointed Morgan Freeman as the vice president.
Well, I'll tell you who the real winner of this movie is. It's friggin' Morgan Freeman, who had 30 minutes in this movie sitting in a chair. Yeah. He doesn't move from the Situation Room really ever, and he just speaks really hackneyed lines, or, like hack lines about, well, we're gonna get you. Look out your window, buddy. Ha ha ha. Drone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked how there was a giant rant by the main terrorist guy at some point. Like when the attack first started, he goes, "You cowards! You attacked me with your drone sitting away across the pond," or something like that. And then how did they get him at the end? With a drone attack, cowardly sitting away.
Yep. And his speech at the end was the most Dick Cheney thing I've ever heard. It was like, well, we've been droning these people and it hasn't worked, but we got to keep droning them because, if we don't, then bad things will happen.
Yeah.
Jeez, man. Yeah, I don't want to turn this. I don't want to turn this into like a referendum on the American drone strike program, but like. Seriously, like, even when they showed, like, the original drone strike, when it was, like, the guy who's, like, at the, what I'm gonna call the red curry wedding, he was texting, saying, hey, this guy's here, you can drone him. Like, well, I'm like...
Ben just got the joke.
Yeah, you did, red curry wedding, yep. That's the first thing I wrote down, was red curry wedding.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. So, like, I just want to say that is fantasy too, because the United States doesn't even do that, right? Like, all they would need is, like, my boy Snowden, right, came out and said all this stuff, it's like, all they need is just a moving cell phone signal for, like, a guy who, okay, this guy, he's a terrorist, he's registered to this number. Oh, we see the cell phone that number's register is moving around. He's moving around, that's him, we're gonna drone him. And that's it. It could be, his daughter picking up the cell phone and, like, playing, Angry Birds or something. It could be anything else, but for the United States' purposes, just a phone moving around is cause enough for the strike. So, like, there is no human intelligence in this thing. There was the guy, right, who was like, the spy, and he was watching him, and he was like, all right, okay, time to drone him.
I liked you had the typical plot of the bad guy finally has his prey, but he's gonna talk and talk instead of just killing him. Oh no, I have to do this on the internet.
Oh, when he killed or tried to kill the president?
Yeah, to like delay. And then, even better, when the Secret Service guy finally comes in and he's beating the crap out of him instead of just killing him. And then he says the line, "Does this fucker ever die?" when he like gets away. And I'm like, no! Because you were punching him in the nose instead of stabbing him in the throat like you did every other person.
Yeah. That guy, the Secret Service guy, really loves beating the shit out of people way too much, like...
Oh, yeah.
And
seriously.
shooting everybody in the face?
Well, he takes the guy, stabs him with the knife, and kills him slowly the one time. The president looks at him and goes, "Was that necessary?" And he just goes, "No," and then just moves on.
Okay,
Wow.
do all Secret Service have, like, CIA, like, spy-level training?
No. And that's one, well, I think they have to be ex-military in some regard, but like, or they usually are, but one thing I noticed was this guy lives in a really nice house for being a Secret Service agent. They don't make that much, It's like maybe like 70, 80, 90K, and in Washington, that's not too much money.
No, that's nothing.
Oh. Well, remember, Bill said this was the sequel, so maybe he got a bunch of money from saving the president the first time.
I bet he did get a massive payoff after.
Yeah.
Because he essentially did the same thing. He was like the one-man army who took down the hundreds of terrorists who stormed the White House.
Yeah. I guess that makes sense why he retires at the end. Because I was like, why is he...
Beth, he didn't retire at the end. He hit the delete button on the resignation letter.
Oh.
I think he did something similar in the first movie. But it was the North Koreans who attacked the White House and took it over.
Because I was like, clearly this guy really enjoys beating the shit out of people.
Yeah, he does.
I was like, yeah, you might have saved the president, but I feel like you're going to go on trial for like cruel and unusual punishment.
Yeah, like he's a very, he's Jack Bauer light, he's just he's there to protect the president, and that's my other title for this movie was Jack Bauer, directed by Michael Bay.
Well, that scene where they were gonna kill the president on the internet and stuff like that, that was lifted from a 24 episode, if you remember, when in season 2 or 3, where they go to kill the executor, and then right at the last minute, live on camera, Jack Bauer storms in and stops him. Same thing happened here.
I really do wish that President Trump was in this movie. I think if
it would make it so much better.
Force One. So okay, speaking of Trump Force One / speaking of Air Force One, so he clearly flies across the Atlantic Ocean on Air Force One. Yet he also has Marine One and two identical copies of Marine One. Which is the helicopter that the president travels around on.
Right, I was
going
to ask about that. How did they just have these helicopters there just in case the president comes? Because obviously they didn't have time to fly the helicopter over.
Yeah, and I don't feel like helicopters can really go across the Atlantic Ocean. I feel like that's a plane thing, but I could be wrong.
Right,
they could have refueled.
Ship it over.
I think it would be. I think you could maybe if it had enough. I don't know how much gas helicopters.
Well, they don't go very
dangerous.
Yeah, they don't go very fast. Planes typically travel 500 miles an hour, and choppers can only really hit up to 200 max speed. So
it can't go as high in the air either, right?
And they can't. So I don't know how these choppers got to England. That's the thing. Yeah, I don't know. I feel just a car would have been easier, but the time they did take the car, but
the only thing they didn't try using was a train.
That's the only thing. Yeah, I was just thinking
they did go to the
London
Underground.
They were on the train. They were on the subway. They were.
Yep, they went to the Underground.
Okay, so the only form of transport that they didn't include in this thing was a blimp.
But anyway, okay, so that we talked about the plot. How about the actors?
I mean, Gerard Butler is Gerard Butler. If he came up and saved my ass, I'd let him put it in my ass. So.
That's right. I would have loved that scene. Sir, if you want me to continue protecting me, you're gonna have to have gay sex at some point.
Oh, okay. I mean, he has that very badass G.I. Joe look, and I like how half the movie he's talking in a rough, dark, deep
Yeah, he's Jack Bauer.
Mr. President, we have to go. The foreign guys, I was like, oh, they always have the stiff, bad accent. I'm like, just let them talk in their whatever native language they're supposed to, instead of making them have them.
Well, okay, that was another thing I noticed, was that, all these people who were supposedly terrorists, right? I mean, these guys looked like they were all from L.A., These were... I didn't see a non-handsome terrorist in this entire movie, Everybody looked great.
And some of them were not even, Middle Eastern. Some
yeah,
of them,
it was like...
And the guards...
you just found some attractive-looking guy who was vaguely brown on the casting call, and you're like, all right, fuck it, terrorist. What was the process here?
Was this, in theaters?
Yeah. I think for a little bit. I don't think it did very well. That's why it's probably out on Netflix so fast.
Probably why, yeah. Although I must say, overall, I kind of like this one more than the other one, if you can believe it.
I really can't, man. Wow, that was Because
it was very fast, constant action. Once you got into it, it kind of took a while to get to the thing.
What was the guy who played the president? The same guy who played Harvey Dent in The Dark Knight?
Yes, and he also played the lobbyist for tobacco in
the smoking.
Thank You for Smoking, and that's who I choose to believe he really is.
Right.
That he's the tobacco lobbyist that became president, because that's very believable. Well, I feel like this guy, this guy's a really competent actor, and I like him in a lot of stuff. And yeah, Thank You for Smoking was I was like, holy crap, this guy's amazing. He's able to play this complete villain, but make you really sympathetic to him. And here, I feel like he was just so, I mean, he was put in a 13-year-old Michael Bay explosions acting straitjacket. God, that one line where the Secret Service guy kills all the dudes and then walks back into the room with the president's like, oh, you came out of the closet. And I was like, Jesus Christ, man. This is the material that he has to work with. I really feel bad for him. I hope he got paid a lot for this movie.
But I'm glad that there weren't too many of those kind of lines.
Yeah, I know, but there weren't that many lines in general. I mean, the whole... I feel like the whole movie probably ran about 30 minutes when you removed the chase scenes,
Yeah, it was just one giant chase scene.
Yeah, and honestly, that's the laziest and easiest thing to do when you're directing a movie, is just make two guys chasing each other, and sometimes it works, and I mean, it maybe worked here, but I don't know. I'm not into just random crazy explosions and chase scenes and stuff.
I do have to say when they're trying to storm the place where the president's being held and the army's moving forward and they're using their coordinated tactics to go forward, I thought that was actually kind of the way they shot that was kind of cool. You really see the
flaming truck.
Yo, don't even be started with the flaming truck. Yes, the terrorists set the truck on fire and two of them go, it's a good idea if we walk behind this into the mass of people coming at us. Why is that ever a good idea? Follow the burning truck.
I wrote down, on that last scene, I actually had the exact opposite opinion, because it seemed like they were attacking, a very fortified position along this completely clear shot street. You could have some cars you could duck behind, but there wasn't any cover to speak of, really. So, I feel like it was just oh, okay, we're gonna do a full frontal assault on the machine gun nest. Righto, sir! Terrible idea.
So, just in case you were curious, I just did a search and found the death count of London Has Fallen, where somebody jotted down all on-screen deaths, and the total is 176.
Oh, I put
How many did
300.
Gerard Butler
Okay.
kill?
176. Wow.
Yes.
Oh, he's the 300 guy.
Yeah, he's the guy from 300. King Leonidas.
Such a good
Oh, I knew I recognized him from somewhere. Oh, of course. Okay, well that's why he's a badass, because he's Leonidas.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh guys.
What?
On IMDb, on his filmography, there says for 2018, Angel Has Fallen.
Yeah, they're gonna make a sequel to this one.
Angel has fallen. The president's in heaven, and he needs protection. Where is my daughter?
He's also, I think he's Jennifer Aniston's, or not Gerard Butler, the guy who played the president is Jennifer Aniston's brother, I believe.
Really?
I believe.
IMDb's like my favorite. Anyway.
So, is there anything in this movie that you feel could have been like corrected to save it, or do you think that like the kind of the
I think
plot
there was
of
no, there were way too many conveniences.
yeah.
I think to save it, because the way once you kick off the attack, I think the movie just flows from there, given what you know and given the quote unquote rules of the attack that they started.
Mm-hmm.
But the way they started it, like you said, they just had wave after wave after wave of people ready to go. That just is so unrealistic from the get-go. I think a more realistic approach would have been if they like set off a nuke or something. That
Yeah,
way, it's
like,
it's like one guy out there, he hits the button and like takes out all of London.
See, I thought it was
Right.
going to be, you know, the one police officer that was on car checking duty, which is also convenient. How did they get their guy on car checking duty? To, like, let the car with the bomb through?
First of all, how does anybody not notice that the giant mirror that the guy's got is a bomb? Like,
No,
is it like
he put the bomb
oh.
on the car, didn't he?
Yeah, with the mirror thing though. But like,
Yeah.
did you see how big that was?
Yeah.
How does somebody not go? Isn't that supposed to be a mirror?
Oh,
Right, why
I
is it so
thought it was a
thick?
metal detector. Because I was like,
No.
didn't he used to have a mirror? Oh, well, I guess he has a metal detector now. Oh, then, okay, then, yes.
Yeah, I went. That was the largest. Like, everybody's watching him do this. How do you not see him? Like,
Well,
is
either
that
way,
supposed to be a mirror?
I thought that was going to be, like, it. That was going to be the bomb. I didn't see, like, all these people turning on him, but yeah. But I did love, though.
The idea that like, okay, so there are some people who have managed to infiltrate the Metropolitan Police and they're disguised, and so therefore, like the logic that comes after that, which is let's remove all the Metropolitan Police and all the soldier because we can't trust some of them. Like let's remove all of them from London. Like that just seems like.
Well, and then they had to hope, like, I get why they wanted to do that, but then they have to hope that everybody in the military is safe. Because their solution was send in the military to take out all the bad guys.
But it's the British military, so it's better than everybody else's.
British police that were...
Compromised.
I felt like this movie, if you had a bunch of like Southern white supremacists circle jerking, this would be a movie they'd be watching.
Yes. Like that's like this. I never saw American Sniper, but I imagine that crowd would be very appreciative of all the America in this. And that's the thing that I kind of hated at the end of this movie is that at the end of all of this, like, you know, with all the geopolitical complications, all the things that happened in this movie. The main character, the Secret Service guy, gets to go back home and, you know, hang out in his nice safe house with his nice safe wife and his nice safe baby. Like, you know, it just kind of underscores that whole thing of like, oh, all this stuff is stuff that happens over somewhere else, you know, and it, you know, it'll never come back to bite us in the ass here.
Well, you gotta watch the first one.
I guess you're right. You know, I mean that's I guess the premise, but still the idea that like, okay, I don't know, like this is just, I feel, a very post 9/11 movie, and I hate it for that.
It's like promoting or validating that this will happen. Like it was almost like a foretelling kind of thing.
Right, and it's not at all. It never takes a moment to be critical of, like, I mean, it bookends on drone strikes. Okay, so clearly they've learned nothing. Why did we blow up all these people in St. Paul's Cathedral? Well, it's because you were drone striking us. Okay, well then we'll drone strike you some more. Like it seems like just there's the tone deafness and a level of unlearning that it made me feel like I really did feel a bit like I was watching propaganda. What I felt like.
But you missed the part at the end where the guy goes, it targets clear civilians, and you watch the people walking by as the explosion happens, fall over, getting hit with debris from the building. I'm just that worked out well.
That's the most realistic part of the movie. That's the most realistic part of the movie right there, man. Like, this guy who's the Secret Service agent, who is supposed to be like the audience insert, the big tough American, he kills like 130 people and doesn't have a scratch on him by the end, and he's quipping, and like I feel like they tried to make him like a Jason Bourne character almost, but like with no flaws. Like I don't think 20 years ago that character, I mean, he may have like, forced 10 to Navarone or whatever, like killed all these people and stuff. But like, I don't feel like he would have maybe dug a knife into somebody and then like grinned, and that's the problem that I have with it. That's really the problem that I have with this movie, is this guy goes way too far, doesn't care, doesn't really suffer any consequences, and he's the hero,
I guess in Die Hard, he never stabbed a guy and twisted a knife.
Yeah, like Die Hard, was I mean, he was like kind of like an everyman, right? But he never wanted to, inflict pain. Like this guy like seems to like it, So that's the
right. Like he enjoyed every minute of this thing from the get-go.
Yeah.
And hence was that really necessary? No. We're going to move on. Wow, okay.
Just move it on. And I think that, also the other disservice too was to the terrorists, because the terrorists were bad villains. So like I have like a kind of a thought on what makes a good villain, what makes a bad villain. Like, I think what makes a good villain is like a good villain sees himself as a normal person, just doing what any other normal person would do if they were put in his situation, right? Like, I feel like that's like the definition of a relatable villain. But these guys were like just standard, oh, you killed my sister with a drone strike, blind revenge, I'm gonna kill tons of people. And like, it makes it really easily justified to okay, well, we can kill these guys. They're obviously they're crazy to be dealt with, And
you
like,
got nothing of his loss.
It's Taken 2, just in another form.
Like, you don't see them mourning over their family.
Yeah, you don't see any of that. You don't really connect with them in any real way. And I wrote down, I would just love for a terrorist in any of these movies wants to say, I would really I would love to be not doing this. I would love to just be sitting at my home, chilling out, and living my own life. But this is the lesser of two evils for me right now. But you never got that from any of this. Any of these very, very pretty, vaguely Middle Eastern terrorists.
It was quite a contrast in movies, because we just saw Fantastic Beasts.
Mm-hmm.
And then just see this one.
So, well, the reason why
completely opposite heroes. in every aspect of
The reason why we picked this one, and Tristan, I'll ask you this question, was we wanted to crack the Dutch female market in our reviews. Somehow we landed on London Has Fallen as our next movie to do this for.
Yes. So a little bit inside baseball. Our YouTube channel, which now has, I believe, 100 views. I don't want to pat myself in the back too much. but Bill broke down the demographics, and we only have I think we have like a split of like what is it, Bill?
I'll look at its current stats. 1 second, let me bring it up.
Okay, all right.
That's the YouTube channel name.
Yeah, we only had one Dutch female ever watch any of our
We
stuff.
had two, but they were 0.2% of our overall demographic.
So we need to expand. So we thought maybe with you guys we could help crack into the elusive Dutch female market.
What's the channel called?
It's
Mr. Commentary.
Mr. Commentary. But,
Well, I mean, I am female, so I got half of that, I guess.
Yeah, I know. All we need is the Dutch. Yeah, we thought we could use the female perspective, and I'm glad to see that it was 3 pages of notes saying this is bullshit.
Yeah, I wrote twice. Put on your damn seatbelts. I mean, safety first.
Safety first. Yeah, duh. Yeah. So I think maybe let's wrap up. Does anybody have any closing remarks on on this guy? Oh, that's one more point. If I can make this my closing point on this movie. The CGI in this was god awful. Like, those explosions, the gunshots. Like, I've seen better stuff on YouTube. Like, it was bottom barrel budget stuff. I don't know if anybody else got that from.
The helicopter crash was pretty bad.
Anytime there was smoke, it was pretty obvious it was CGI. I swear that last explosion of like the terrorist building where they were holding the president looked like a firework went off. Like,
yep.
It went through my head. Are you trying to symbolize like the 4th of July with the way the sparks are coming out? Because that looked like just a shell firework. Boom! Here goes some sparkle stuff out away from it. So. America, yeah.
America. Bill, any closing remarks?
If you're interested, you can always watch the first one to get a little more context of what this one's about. Because I think, since you guys never saw the first one, I think I have a different perspective on this movie. Because I know where it's coming from the first one because of what they went through there. So I can't say I have positive views of this movie by any means. But I happen to like this one, I think, better than the first one. Even though on like Rotten Tomatoes and stuff, this one was rated far worse than the first one.
Beth, Alex, you guys.
It was better than I expected. Because I was expecting something along the lines of what we usually watch. Mr. Terrible. I mean, I was expecting like Earth 2 for an hour and a half. But I was pleasantly surprised. I didn't look up a thing about the movie. I didn't know the genre.
That's the best way to watch movies. You don't have any
I
preconceived
didn't look
notions.
at the thing.
My last comment is the movie reminds me it's Taken 2, except without sex trafficking and all about men. And Gerard Butler. Replace Liam Neeson with Gerard Butler, you have Taken 2. Remove the sex trafficking with terrorists and take his family and just trade in with the president, and you essentially have the same movie.
All right.
Very good.
Sums it up.
This has been a presentation of Honey Sound Broadcasting, an affiliate of the Bilko Media Network.